Are you overprocessed, losing your hair, and looking for a new therapist? Well, the Stylist chair is where client confessions and declarations are made. The place where confusion is detangled, new shades of confidence is created, smudges are cleansed away, and edges are relaxed. Most importantly, it's the place where we gently cut away our unhealthy past and start the process of restoration, all in an effort to prevent further damage. My name is Koree L Thatcher, and I am your creative stylist, restorative hair care specialist, and confidence coach. While creating a culture that cultivates the mind, body, and soul, I advocate for being intentional in your pursuit of confidence and personal development. I specialize in unwrapping the layers of low self-esteem and depositing high volumes of confidence. Welcome to your scheduled appointment at From the Stylist Chair podcast, the place where we are building confidence one head at a time. The salon is now open and all walk-ins are welcome. So come on in and don't forget to grab a towel just in case you get some water in your eyes. Have a seat in my chair and let's talk hair. Hey everybody, welcome to your weekly appointment at From the Stylist Chair podcast, the place where we are building confidence one head at a time. I am your host, Koree L Thatcher, and today you get to learn a little something about who your stylist is. So today's episode is titled My Hair Appointment. So one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is how a lot of times when you set up your consultation to go to a new stylist for a new service, you're going in anticipation that the stylist can provide a certain service for you. But do you actually go into the consultation getting to know a little something about the stylist, her history or his history, where they come from, how did they get started? And maybe for some people, maybe that's not important. However, when it comes to certain services or just depending on in what way you like to actually build a relationship with your service provider, asking questions about how long they've actually been in the industry, or even for certain services, how long, have you been providing this particular type of service? I was thinking about when we go for doctor's appointments. A lot of times we go because we've been referred or it's on our, preferred providers list, and we just have the assumption they're the doctor. It reads as the specialist, and we just go in there. I don't want to say we take their word for it, but we don't really do enough vetting about, their background, and I don't know, maybe some doctors may feel like that's a little intrusive, for lack of a better word, but just thinking that we have to come up with more ways to kind of create relationship versus just you had your initial consultation, then you sit in the chair, and then it becomes a let me get to know you, type of relationship building. Now, if you know anything about, or if you've been implementing certain types of marketing into your business, then you know that some of your social media outlets kind of gives you the space to connect in that way. And so for today's episode, I just wanted to talk a little bit just about who I am, where I came from, how I got into the beauty industry, and just, so that you can learn a little more about me as you begin to meet us back here every week for your regularly scheduled appointment. So, how did I get started? So, first of all, I grew up in a family that had a entrepreneurial background. So, kind of grew up around just business. That was what I knew. My grandparents were business owners in the city. They were pretty well known in the city. So just kind of always in that environment. And as a kid, there were things, I guess, that I started to realize that I wanted to do as an adult as it pertained to a career. And so one of the things that I used to tell my father when I was growing up, I used to say, Daddy, one day I'm going to be the employer and not the employee. And he would always say, you're going to have to be somebody's employee before you become an employer. And I used to say, nope, Daddy, not me. And I was probably about 8, 9, 10 years old. I was pretty young. I do remember that. And I don't know if I knew in its entirety exactly what that meant, but what I did know and was sure about was that I wanted to be in business for myself, that I didn't want to work for anybody. So that was always my goal. Now, I've always been a very creative child, so just into all things art. Didn't matter, what it was, whether it was drawing, singing, dancing. I used to, my mom sewed when we were growing up. Sewing was her thing, so I would take the scraps from what was left over, and I would wrap my Barbies in the scraps and make dresses and head wraps and things of that nature. I loved singing and like talent shows and different things like that. And so it didn't matter really. Anything creative, I wanted to learn how to do it. And so as a teenager, kind of getting more into, how kids do, once you start to realize your hair and what your hair could do. And so starting to do my own hair pretty early on. And so I've always loved braids, and braids was really my main thing as a teenager, especially. So when I was in high school, when I was younger, I would braid my cousins' hair. My little cousins, I would braid their hair whenever I could get my hands on their head. I can remember being even younger than that, and I would always get in trouble because I'm trying to comb somebody's hair. And so as a teenager, then starting to braid some of my friends' hair, and then my summer jobs quickly became braiding hair at home. That's just what I did. During the summer would braid hair, and that's how I made my money. And so then when it became time to go to college, I still knew that I wanted to do those entrepreneurial things, but then my mind kind of went into, well, I know I want to own some businesses. I always knew I wanted to do hair and have a salon. Then I'm just going to go to school for business administration. Hated it. Like 100% hated everything that came along with it. Nowadays, do I wish I had kind of stuck it out and learned a little more as it pertains to the aspect of business, absolutely. But back then, I hated it. There were only 2 classes in college that I loved, and it was my African American literature class, and it was my 3.5-hour, 2-day-a-week art class. So, you know what that means. That means that I definitely probably should not have been in school. I should have been in somebody's art school for sure. And so I went to college for every bit of 3 whole years. Could have just stuck it out and finished, but ended up coming home for winter break and enrolling into beauty school, and here we are, years later. So now I have officially been doing hair as a licensed cosmetologist for almost 26 years now. I don't know if it feels like it's been 26 years or not, but here I am. And I know I still look like a little young thing. But yes, I have been doing hair for quite some time and servicing my beauties for quite some time. And so one of the questions that I would get a lot, because in my earlier days, actually up until about maybe 5 years ago, I actually wore my hair bright red for a long time. And so that was always kind of a little intriguing to people. I would get the, oh, you're so bold, you're so confident. And, then I would get, I guess you the life of the party, huh? You like to be seen. And it's like, well, not so much. I am a behind the scenes person, 100% behind the scenes person. I come out in the forefront when it's necessary for me to come out into the forefront. However, that red hair, it was really a decision made after trying so many different colors, and then just finding out that red was the color and is the color that most complements my skin tone. And so I gravitated to the red once I tried it, and I kind of tried some other things and then went back to the red, and then I perfected it, and then it just became the thing that I was known for. As people like to say, it became my staple. So a lot of my clientele was built around me wearing that particular color. Back then, I wore my hair really short for a very long time. I just like hair that makes me feel free. So when I was wearing it short, I didn't do a whole lot of curling to my hair. I just kind of like to let it do what it was gonna do. So even in the times that I would let my hair grow a little longer, I loved it in its natural state. Maybe even if I blew it out, I just would let it blow in the wind. I just, again, like to be definitely wild and free. And even in the times that I began to kind of explore some of those styles, it was kind of twofold. So there was a time when I, worked a lot. And so not really making a lot of time to do my hair. I would get into the salon early, or try to anyway. I would start my hair, and then, a client's come in, so I'm not able to finish. And it would be, then I'll flat iron it once my client leaves. And because I would get off work too late, to be honest, then I would just, I'm just gonna wear this. Let's just pin it up, or, swoop it to the side, or just let it blow. And then, I can remember times just being in the car because my hair was just wild. you know, you would see people drive by and kind of do a double take, and it's like, yeah, my hair is like this. And, you know, then I can remember people asking, because back then, natural hair was not a very popular thing at all. And so when I would go into stores, you know, or meet new people, I would always get, where are you from? Are you from around here? And it's like, yeah, born and raised right down the street, you know. And, you know, people around here don't look like that. They don't wear their hair like that, you know. And I'm like, yeah, this is me. I'm from right around here, and here we are. So it was also one of the things that kind of set me apart from a lot of people. And so if I could be honest, my decision to kind of get away from wearing red was because now, or even then, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, red started to become a more popular color. People wearing it more often, and I honestly just don't like looking like anybody else. At least the spaces that I was in, you know. I'm just like, I always like to kind of go against the grain and just kind of, you know, do my own thing. And so here we are now, you know, wearing locks. It was something that I used to say, oh, I'm gonna try locks when I get older and it don't matter anymore. Then I'll kind of like, you know, get into wearing my hair locked or whatever. And so I went to a friend to get my hair done, and actually you'll meet her in one of the upcoming episodes, Kalina. I went to her to get my hair blow dried and straightened for the very last time, and I walked in and I said, okay, this is gonna be my last time straightening my hair, and I think I'm gonna do it. And she said, well, we can do it now, I got time. And I'm like, girl, wait a minute. Like, I wasn't ready yet, you know, like, let me get my mind together. And so we kind of went ahead and just dove right into it. When we started it, they weren't exactly this size. They were a little bigger, and I didn't really like that too much. And so I just decided to, you know, take them loose a little at a time to make them smaller. I liked a much fuller look, and just kind of go from there. And so one thing about the lock process is that it definitely is a love-hate relationship. Some days I love it. Some days I'm like, now please tell me, why did you do this again? And, you know, each phase of the lock process definitely has, you know, its pros and cons, but it will definitely, you know, teach you a lot about yourself in the process. You'll hear, again, in some of the other episodes, just how, you know, sometimes the way you wear your hair will kind of challenge where you are in your life. At that moment, it will challenge some of your ideas and concepts of, you know, not only beauty, but just how other people may view you when they see certain things. So, you know, one thing about, you know, locks is it's not like a flat iron where you can just take your comb and just kind of manipulate it a certain way to get it to lay the way you want or whatever. There is a strength and identity that comes with having locks. So if that lock decides that it just wants to, as you see, I have this one over here that wants to just stand out and stick straight out, guess what? There's nothing you can do about it until it decides it wants to do something else. And so what my personal hair journey it represents is it, you know, my confidence was kind of built through my hair experiences. You know, I tell people that the more you try things, new things, the more your confidence is built. And I mean, I've experienced from other stylists doing certain things, whether it was my hair or clothes I would wear, and you know, they would say, well, people don't do that. People don't wear their hair like that. They don't, you know, wear knee-high socks with their boots. And, you know, all of the things that now 10, 15, 20 years later, because it's a trend, now it's accepted. Whereas back then, because nobody else is doing it, then you shouldn't do it. But I've always been the person like, okay, but I do. And so never being swayed by what the majority was doing, but always honing in on what I liked, what made me feel confident and comfortable. And honestly, not being like everybody else is actually what made me feel confident. It was not having the desire to actually fit in. So my entire hair journey has been, you know, just being bold enough to stand out, to be bold enough to be different, do different, say different, have different. I remember a guy, like right as the whole mohawk look was starting to become popular, that was a style I wore a lot, and he would say, you just do your own thing, huh? I'm like, well, yeah, what else am I supposed to do, you know? And so I just, from the stylist chair, my goal is to just help people, empower people to just embrace their difference, embrace their boldness, embrace, you know, how God made you, whether it's the texture of your hair, the color of your skin, you know, your height, you know, all of the things that may make you stand out. Just embrace that and just, you know, walk boldly in that. And that is just a little bit about me and how I ended up here in this beauty industry, and just what I've accomplished from an emotional health standpoint, and my goal in going forward. And you'll learn about me, you know, more as we go along. But as you watch these episodes, you know, if there are topics and things that you want to hear discussed or have questions, leave them in the comments, and we will do our best to touch on some of those things in future episodes. And thank you so much for joining me today at From the Stylist Chair, where it is my desire to build confidence one head at a time, and meet us back here next week at your regularly scheduled appointment.